Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Bobby J on 30A. Bobby, I feel like a morning talk show guy. I love it. I'm like Bobby J on 30A.
Doesn't that it flows, doesn't it? Bobby J on 30A.
Sound like
How
a
you
rock
been
star.
doing? How are you?
Yeah, man, good. I love it. We're back with the surfboards. We're back with more stories from you. This is going to air sort of January-ish, so I wanted to make sure people get really reflective on life and excited about what's coming in the next year. So I wanted to kind of hear what are some of the things that you do as a successful person to get the most out of your year. So I wanted you to kind of walk us through some of your routines.
Yeah, so oftentimes in the real estate business, and by the way, I use a real estate coach. By the way, I think that I found early on that it was real critical. I looked at the most successful agents and I noticed that the dynamic was that, whoa, they all have a real estate coach. So yeah. I'm a pretty simple-minded guy, actually. So I can kind of go, oh, okay, wait a minute. If they're doing well and they have a coach, maybe I need to get a coach. And there's an accountability factor there. So we, as far as like the routines, the real estate routines that's a whole nother story. I think one day we'll delve into all of what it as an agent does. But I do tell my agents that, hey, let's by January 1, let's be rocking and rolling with your plan. Yep. Have it laid out. Have 4 or 5 things laid out. And I don't know what your 4 or 5 things are going to look like, but I know you better have 4 or 5 things. I tell the agents to call me up and we'll develop a good plan. But when you get on a personal level, again, what does this have to do with real estate? Nothing but everything. Little things that make me routine. So, number one, I wake up. I don't pop out of bed, but I do have some things that I do as I'm waking up. One of them is that I do some breathing to get myself on track. I took a course in art of breathing, actually. Wow. Never did talk to you about that, but there's a cycle of breathing to get your blood flowing right? So I kind of do that before I even get out of bed, right?
Like, how's it work? Like, give me that. Like, are you there for 5 minutes, 5 breaths? Like,
it really should be like this 15-minute process, but as school gets rolling and things start to happen, I just try to do, like 3 to 4 minutes of deep breathing. It's actually called sky breathing.
SKY.
Sky breathing. It's basically, you're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 5, hold for 5, and different variations of that. And it's almost like it's a breath that you can kind of hear, Yep. So
is the goal of that to just like be still, or are you meditating? Like what's happening as you're breathing when you do that?
It's real calming, and it actually will give you this amazing energy. I've learned. So, to the level of a cup of coffee.
Wow.
It feels quite like that. As a matter of fact, I've taken many friends that are having blood pressure problems and kind of walk them through it, 200 over 110, right? Yeah. And then let's do some breathing and breathe and watch blood pressure, down to 180 over 100. Let's keep doing it, and then you can get your blood pressure under control. Being in the real estate business, you can imagine stress is high. So breathing is something, for whatever reason, we all forget to do. If you'll notice, you'll find yourself up here.
All the time. I'm always
all
up
the time.
Yeah.
I could after one of these programs one day, I could send you a couple things that actually help you, because you will find that you're, and then that's why you sometimes find yourself going,
right. Yeah.
A
couple times a day.
What is it? It's one of the first things we do, and guess what? It's the last thing we do. A breath.
A breath. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a whole another day. So my routine is the first thing I do, after we do all that, is I get my son to school, okay, and I bring him to school, and we have a whole neighborhood. There's 29 kids that live in our neighborhood, and all the parents and people always say, "Hey, do you want to carpool?" And I know, that's my time, man. It's precious. And having older daughters, I know how valuable that time is. So
How old's your son? How old's your son?
Brody's 13.
13. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and he's going through all that stuff, that voice stuff. And,
Right.
I had daughters, in a previous life. And so, say previous life, it seems like a whole nother life. One of my daughters is 31 years old. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So, another one's 26. One day I'd like to maybe get them on. We'll interview them, but
that'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So raising a boy, Chris, is, like it's a whole nother world, it's like some days it's two alpha males, we don't even talk. It's just like,
yeah.
And then, but I will tell you this, I notice also, if I'm right, so is he, if I'm in a bad mood, he's in a bad mood. Kids feed off of us, so I'm always very aware. I try to be very cautious of my words around him.
Right.
I try to build him up. I don't always, we all have a tendency with kids to always talk about, hey, Brody, what are you eating? Do you eat another candy bar? And negative of that versus when you see him eat an apple.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, good choice.
Yeah. Right.
But yet we don't do that. We only have a tendency to talk about the negative, So driving my son to school, and think about it. He's 13. I have 2.5 years left of that. That's done. It's over with. And believe me, this old salty dude's not doing it again. We're not. If you hear that I'm having another child, find me and get okay, because I'm not. I'm out to pasture.
Yeah, man. That's a lot of work.
That's the first thing. Next, I always try to exercise in the morning. I'm a certified yoga instructor.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible yoga teacher though. But I like to try to find a yoga class. My wife is an instructor. We'll do a little yoga together.
Yeah.
Try to get that workout in. I drop him off fairly early.
Yeah.
And then try to get something in, just to also bring the stress down.
How long do you do yoga for? Sorry. How long do you do yoga for? 20 minutes?
So, it depends. I mean, there's so many different things you can go online now and find different classes. So a lot of that just depends on like what time I have. But it's always, you got to do something. I think that you got to win the day. And I think the winning of the day, it happens in the first hour. So I really try to bring in a lot of good stuff. During that breathing that I was telling you about, I also, I'll be listening to something that is a positive inspirations and stuff to try to build me stuff up. I have two voices, one over here and one over here.
Right. Yeah.
What is that story about? Which one you're going to feed?
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I try to, cause I can go dark quickly if I don't do these things.
Yeah.
So, yoga has become probably my go-to, and I'll tell you why. I was when I was in training, I had some dude. I was the only guy there, by the way. There's one other guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Around all of these really hot yoga girls, right? And I was like, oh my God, what is this going to be like here?
Right. Yeah.
And so right away, I kind of played the dad role, so they didn't think there's like some pervy old dog,
some salty yoga man.
Salty guy, and it was one of these great experiences.
Yeah.
The lady I trained under was a lady named Peggy Hall, and it's yoga for surfers. Okay. Nice. And I started doing yoga for surfers a long time ago.
Yeah.
And when I finally got to train through Peggy, I mean, I felt like I was meeting, Michael Jackson or something. I was like, I got nervous. I got tongue tied talking to her,
Yeah.
So yoga, and what my point of that was, this guy said, I only want to do, as far as exercise goes, I only want to do things that I can do for the rest of my life. Okay. Like in certain types of things, no, like CrossFit, which I don't get me wrong. I mean, the problem I have with CrossFit is me.
Yeah.
Not CrossFit. A lot of everyone wants to beat up CrossFit, but guys like me, I'm too competitive. I'm going to go in there and get hurt. I'm going to go in there and do more than I'm going to do whatever you're doing. I don't care how old you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I started realizing was I really wasn't improving, but I can do yoga and I can improve on into 80, 90 years old, you know?
Yeah. I love
So,
that. Yeah. I love that.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's great, man. Man, you've
Yeah.
given us some good gems here. So we've got breathing. That's one routine. We've got taking your son to school. That's another routine. We've got exercise like yoga. But I mean, whatever. I mean, you
And a
listening.
little, I'll try to throw in a little cardio there as well. You know,
Okay.
just maybe a mile, just to get the
Got
heart.
it.
You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes
Okay.
more. Just depends. I
Yeah.
mean, we gotta remember we're about to be on the phone a lot. We're about to tackle the day. We've got to get our head going in the right place. You know,
I love that.
it's so easy to go dark, and most of the time, if I'm having a bad day, it was typically because I did not do those things. You know, I'm always going to bring my son to the school, but I think you have to put things in your life that there's no exception. You know what I mean? Like this is a have to, or I think there's another term they call that gosh, I can hear my wife right now yelling it in the background. Anyways, it's something that so we do this thing with the mile that is, you know, no matter what. Okay.
Yep.
8:00 at night, it's pouring rain, and we hadn't done it. You know, it's only a mile. You should have done it. You should have done it at 5 this morning, right? But you do it. Yeah. No matter what. Okay. Yeah. And so there's no exceptions to it, right?
There's a detour on that really quick, because I feel like, you know, you've said last episode, and maybe even this episode, like things are not about real estate, but they are about real estate. And when I think about, like, you know, there's non-negotiables in life.
That's the word.
That's the word.
Non-negotiable.
That was the word.
That's it.
Yeah, it's non-negotiables. Yes, I heard your wife coming through your mind through the camera.
So the mile is the non-negotiable.
Yeah, but what you do in your personal life spills over into your professional life. If you have the fortitude to do what you said you do, to commit to the work in your personal life, this is what I love about, like, you know, people that are committed to personal development, because as a real estate agent, like, you're going to do what you need to do to make it happen. Like, it transfers because it's Bobby Johnson. It's not like a personal thing or a professional thing. It's Bobby Johnson thing.
Right.
So anyway, I love that. Anyway.
So totally, you know, these non-negotiables, and the reason is you're not trying to be some sort of, oh, look at me.
Right.
You just learn.
Just trying to win the day, man. Win the day.
You know, salty. You learn that you got to win the day, or it will be a nightmare for me. I mean, I always say, another saying that I always love is that I don't have the luxury of not doing these things. Okay. Some people don't have to do all that stuff, and they just get by and they rock and roll. And I see them eating donuts and drinking beer, and they're rocking and rolling, doing 50, 60 million a year in sales. I don't have that luxury. You know, I can't watch scary movies or a stressful movie, or because I go to that space, right? I always tell people I don't have that luxury. You know, I with an agent, we may have a little situation where we're getting mad at each other, right? And I have to pick up the phone. I have to make it right, because it goes somewhere else for me deeper, right? And I don't have the luxury of having a bad feeling, a hard feeling towards somebody, you know, a grudge. I just don't. I just have to make it right. Like I said, remember we said in the last episode, it's a small town. Right. And I don't have the luxury of all that. So, and then, you know, the third one, it's kind of funny. I think it's real important to, you know, for a relationship. My wife and I, we have what we call coffee time, you know, and we both, you know, I have that coffee I was telling you about the other day, the Laird Hamilton, that little MCT oil, and little turmeric, and I whip it up in a little rocket
bullet blender thing. Yeah.
I always, by the way, you're going to find I get words all mixed up. So
rockets, bullets, it doesn't matter.
Well, it makes a little froth, but that's our time. And it has been wonderful for our marriage. Just to take a moment, pause, talk about things. It's probably really, you know, truth be told, like the only time we get together, but it is our time. And sometimes it's 30, 45 minutes, sometimes it's 5 minutes, but it's a moment to check schedules, check in on each other, argue,
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever it may be, and then from there, I head on into the office and typically try to get into the
Yeah.
office between 9 and 10. And
Yeah.
it's funny when I get in at 10, they all, they're thinking that I just rolling out of bed.
Rolling back. Yeah. Right.
I've pretty much kind of knocked it out of the park at that point.
Hey, I want to ask you a question on the coffee time with your wife. So are there certain questions that you really like to ask that create rich conversation?
Well, wow, that is a loaded question.
Yeah, I mean,
my wife has just had her birthday, and I posted something about her. She's highly intellectual. So I check in with her on things like a lot of the world's right now all political, and I if there's something that's going on that I've heard or whatever, I'll ask her, and she'll break some things down for me. Like I don't have time to follow the news. That's another kind of thing I don't have the luxury of.
Yeah.
I can't be tuning into the news all the time and listening to this and that. I'm pretty non-political.
Yep.
Because I don't have the luxury. Again, I get weird. I get a little I feel like I get a little more angry than the average bear. So I just don't. Yeah. And so I will look at things. I'll see some headlines, and then I'll throw it by her. You'll hear different versions of it throughout the day, and then my highly intellectual wife Beverly will really break it down for me. And nice. So we kind of go down through things like that, or so not necessarily really questions. There's not really anything that we break down. It's more just like who's taking Brody to soccer practice, or how's he doing in school, or hey, have you talked to our other daughters? We have a niece that lives with us, and so we're all trying to get on the same page. Man, I think
good.
I think a lot of couples don't, and we'll have a whole meet. We'll bring her into one of these, and her version. And what'll happen probably though is she'll end up with her own show. Because Beverly could have a Beverly show, and it would probably do very, very well.
It would rock, I'm sure. Yeah. No, that's so good. I love it. Well, you gave us 4 routines. That was awesome. Extra credit. We had breathing, take your son to school, exercise, coffee with your wife. That's awesome. And I think if I had to summarize all of that for 2019 and people listening to this going, I want to get the most out of my year. I want to level up my life. I love that you say like, it's everything you just said pretty much is morning stuff. Like you got to wake up and have routines to win the day, and how you start your day kind of makes that happen.
You got to win it, Chris. Yeah. You really do. And again, everything that we're going to talk about, over the year is going to be things that the mistakes I made.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm a knucklehead. I learned the hard way. I tell my agents that all the time. They're like, how do you know? Oh, I did it. If you want, like before you go spend $1,000 a month on something, you might want to come by me, because more than likely I already did it.
That's so great. I love that.
That's turned into a rock star in my office, and he did a billboard recently, and hopefully by the time that he probably still has it, but I said, to myself, I'm like, man, you probably should have called me about that. I actually did a billboard right there, 15 years ago, and nowadays think about the way the world is, the cost of things. You're looking at a cost of that. Dialing that same cost into social media, your dollar in social media spend is unbelievable compared to what, you take a $2,000, billboard a month and put $2,000 into a Facebook ad.
Yeah. Yep.
When I spend money on a Facebook ad, typically I have to shut it off.
Yep.
I get too many leads.
It's a great time that we live in. It
really is. Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's segue that into, I know we like to, hopefully you guys listening to this got some great value out of that. I did. Let's transition though into some real estate stuff, because I know we get to have a backstage pass in the market because we get to talk to you this way. What do you want us to know about real estate this week? Like, what's going on?
So the market, January is always a little, we got the Songwriter Festival coming. The Songwriter Festival is amazing. You'll probably be hearing me talk a little bit more about that. So January used to be just completely dead here. And then the Cultural Arts Association kicked off this thing, the Songwriters Festival, and it really exploded our January. So, being a tourist area, we have this where we shut off, right? And so we've been trying over the years to fill it with our downtime. December's gotten better now. Think about it. People don't go to the beach in December if you think really about the beach, because for Christmas time, because you don't want to load all that stuff up and bring it down to the beach. But now they'll come after. So December can wrap up pretty good. December used to be dead. Now the Songwriter Festival is really, really taken off and exploded and made our January kind of become a little hotter, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, remember January, we're working on our stuff. We're getting it ready. We're getting our routines in place because we're going to rock and roll through the year, right? Yeah. But outside of that, it really does turn into almost where we don't really have shoulder seasons any longer. It's almost just completely through and through. So majority of people that are buying in January, they're trying to buy because they got to get the home ready for the rentals that are coming. So typically, let's see, January, February, by March, you have to have that house ready.
Right.
So, for instance, this property of the week right now will be 81 Santa Clara. Okay.
Yeah.
This home is 5 bedrooms, 6 baths. This home is listed for $2.1 million. Okay. Yeah. It'll do right around $200,000 a year in rental. Maybe less. I mean, I don't have that number in front of me. It may be 180 somewhere in there.
Sure.
The cool thing about this, it has golf views, direct access to the beach. Okay. It's fully furnished. But the trick to this one is, you need to get it and get it ready. If you could have a home like this, rocking and rolling and in the system by March, you could book it out through the year and make $200,000.
Yeah.
Or maybe less. I mean, I may have exaggerated that number a little bit. Let's just say between 150 and 200.
Yeah. Okay. We're playing with numbers.
But if you wait too long on things like this, and again, I'm not the kind of salesperson. I think you and I know each other well enough. I'm not saying, get it, hurry up, or it's going to be gone. I'm telling you how our market is. If you want to get a full season, you've got to have that thing in there by, March. After March, you're starting to lose. Yeah, because people are already booking up.
Yep. Yeah. So good. Well, Bobby, I think it's a great place to wrap. If people are interested in that property or any other property because they've been wanting to get into that game, like how do they reach out to you?
So 81 Santa Clara Street, you can go to my website, 38localproperties.com, 38localproperties.com. You can find me on there. This hopefully, or maybe by the time you look, it's under contract. And
you have to go find something else.
You'll look at another one, right?
Yeah.
My phone number is 850-865-7798. The links to a lot of this will be below, so check it out. Awesome. And keep checking back in with us. I'm having fun. And please remember to subscribe.
Yeah.
So, right. I think that's an important part of what we're doing here is that we could keep giving some of this information out as long as we can keep the tribe coming back.
Yeah. You can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on podcast directory like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or Stitcher, you can subscribe there. So good stuff, Bobby. Good stuff. Listen, man, I am so excited. I've done a lot of these shows, and I love just like your personality, who you are, and what you have to share. In 2 episodes, you've dropped some awesome truth bombs, and you've also given us some good value in real estate. So I'm looking forward to
School of Hard Knocks, Chris.
Well, I mean, how else did you earn your salty certificate? I mean,
salty.
Yeah.
What was that again? Salty dad? Salty, what was it?
Saltyfathers.com? I don't know.
Somebody's already bought it.
I know. All right. Well, listen, that was good stuff. We'll see you in the next episode, Bobby. Until then, take care.
Hey, thanks, Chris.
Bye.